Hi, Salman. Thank you so much for joining me today. So,
Thank you. I'm glad to be
let's
here.
thank you so much. So, let's talk about your background and your experience first. So, can you please tell me a bit about yourself and your journey as an entrepreneur?
Thank you for having me here. Background, I grew up in a country called Pakistan, and I started pretty early. I started computer software development when I was just 11 years old. So my journey started pretty early, but growing up in an impoverished home or lower middle class home, it was obvious to me that if I wanted to grow, I couldn't just look at some rich aunties and uncles. I have to really dig down and work hard. And that work ethic that my parents instilled in me really was a great background to grow up in. And then just never looked back. Starting my first company when I was 15 years old. And yeah, thank you. And it's just this journey just continues.
Wow, really nice. Thank you so much. And my next question is, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Thank you. Great question. Like I mentioned, you grow up in a home where work ethic is built in through everything you do in a daily life. And I think one of the biggest encouragement, I think my dad, he himself is an entrepreneur, and from a very young age, he always was doing different business endeavors. And during those business endeavors, you'll see the hard work and the grit that he had, and he still does. And seeing him growing up in a home where it was just normal to try new things and work new ideas and just going on a whim and not worrying about what the failure might be. And so I really think dad, a good home that harbors an atmosphere of risk taking, because you can't be an entrepreneur if you're not willing to sacrifice and take certain risks. So that really goes back to that.
Really nice, really nice. Thank you so much. And the next question is, what is Gladius solution about, and how did you come up with the idea?
Gladius Solutions is a custom software development company, and we develop custom software. And that custom software is not just something. I think if I explain why, it will sort of end up explaining what we do. When I first kind of came to this country called the United States, where I live today, I noticed a pattern that every company that we worked in had no place for creativity. And most of the time, if something breaks down or they had to do an emergency fix to something, there was just never enough time to build those systems in place. And I noticed pretty quickly that companies are, and this is around the world, by the way, companies are have just enough backlog to barely get done what they need to get done, much less worry about the new stuff. So I just started dreaming that one day I'll start a company where we can be that difference. So we like to call ourselves the SEAL Team Six of software development. We go into various companies that, yeah, thank you, and they already have existing IT departments of their own, but we go in and we can see that need. And while the company keeps doing what they're really good at, we go in and end up taking care of those custom needs. So, really, what sets us apart is custom ability to go in and solve unique problems. And Gladius is a Roman soldier sword. And growing up, I was really mesmerized with my favorite movie, Gladiator. And in that movie, he talks about honor and strength, and the sword being used for something not just to destructive but to protect others. And so the same way the sword has a cutting edge, well, we all know technology has a cutting edge, and so we like to be on the cutting edge of technology.
Yeah, wow, that's great. That's great. So my next question is, what problem and what's problems or needs Gladius solution address?
Like I mentioned, creativity and lack of creativity that exists in various companies, and there's not enough time to do new projects because there's so much already that needs to be done as it is. So we go in and we address two areas. If there's no time for creativity, we bring in a creative team that can create a culture where we go in and teach their company professionals and through all the hierarchy of the directors and CEOs, C levels, and we say, hey, let's make time for creativity. And then on the second level, we look into their IT department and their systems and see where there's inefficiencies, and we create custom solutions to alleviate those inefficiencies.
Okay. And the next is what's make Gladius solution unique and different from others in market?
Very good question. I think, and it goes back to why we started this. Frankly, there's a lot of good companies around in every country, in every locality. There's companies that are competing with each other. But what's, I believe, sets us above others and sets us apart from others is the fact that we come in and we really care. First thing is connecting to your audience and connecting to your customers and really care in the solutions that you need to provide, really care for the needs that they have. And secondly, come with a fresh mind. There's already most of my customers, our customers already have an IT department, already have really good apparatus. When we go in, we don't want to just regurgitate the same stuff. We come in with a fresh pair of eyes and a hat, essentially from a perspective that is fresh. So we go in and we look through a new perspective and we're able to solve. So others will come in and just provide a cookie cutter solution, a off the shelf solution that's pre-made, and they're trying to fit the customer. And no, that's not what we do. We go in and we say, what's your exact needs and build according to your need. And that is very few people do that.
Wow, really nice. What are some of the biggest challenge you have faced as an entrepreneur?
People. And that sounds fun. It sounds funny, but really, frankly, one of my mentors, and we learned that through mentors and through business leaders. Most people don't understand how much time as leaders in business will end up spending in people issues, and that's why we learn fast, we learn quick, and something we call EQ, which is emotional quotient, which really is emotional quality of as an individual. So when you grow your teams to have a higher EQ, you know how we measure IQ, like the intelligence of someone? The same way in an organization, you need to not just measure, but really harbor an atmosphere that your EQ grows, which is your emotional quotient and how emotionally stable you are. And when in a business, you're not working just with machines just because you're a software company, it's not just computers. There's real living human beings right next to you that you may hurt accidentally if you're not careful about what you say. You may offend if you're not careful about how you're operating. So those aspects, I think some of the largest challenges arise from the sort of the human resource management, but with good systems, with good practices, and with good training, we can overcome that.
Wow. How did you overcome these challenges and what are you learned from that?
Like I said, good systems protect you. Good systems will be the difference. And so having a good HR handbook, having a good training manual, having a good what we call performance reviews with our employees. So those 2-3 major things that are well established and that are set in stone, that there's a time when somebody will sit with their manager and talk through. Those kind of things are, in a positive sense of the word, tripwires that will protect you from future problems.
Okay. Can you please share a specific example of a challenge that you faced and how you tackle it?
One of the specific ones that come to mind is a gentleman that was unhappy in the position that was in, but because we created we could have lost that team member because he was unhappy because of a manager that he was not happy with. But because we had good systems in place, our director was able to talk to him, and then he ended up coming to the C-level office and sitting with the board, and we ended up just talking things through. I think so that particular example, it could have been a different company or in a different scenario. We could have lost that employee, a good, hardworking employee, but they were just having issues with their manager. So we were able to sit them down and solve that issue.
Wow, great. How do you measure success in Gladius solution?
I think there's it sounds like a cliche, but really, how many people we serve. Yes, money is one way to measure success. We all know that. But money is just a number. I think our true success is are people being served by the solutions that we provide. So when you go into a company, if they leave happier and their lives are getting better and their systems are getting better, that's success to us. Money just follows.
Oh, really cool. What do you uh, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start up their own business?
Um, the biggest one is, buddy, it's gonna be tough, but you're gonna have to be wear an attitude, put on a attitude that you're never gonna give up. Because in entrepreneurship and business, there's gonna be a lot of challenges. The age-old saying that for first 2 years, forget about any profit. It's true. It's true. There's gonna be challenges. So if the advice I'll give you, actually, you know what? How about I give you advice from one of the most famous billionaires, Mark Cuban. He says they're entrepreneurs and they're entrepreneurs, and the difference between is the hard work. So you're gonna have to be willing to just invest every ounce of energy to uh, see that business shine, and that's the difference between wanting something and actually achieving it.
What are your future plans of your business?
Expansion, but really serving more people. And so we have two new major areas that we want to build products in. There's non-governmental NGOs, non-governmental organizations around the world are doing great work, but we want to serve them. So there's three major areas where we want to see advancements in, and nonprofit and non-governmental
Mhm.
organization um, arena is where we really want to expand.
Mm, okay. Where do you see Gladius solution in next few years?
To larger heights, to bigger heights. We see in larger markets. We're currently in two major markets in the U.S. and one major market in Asia. We expect to, but in the next 5 years, we expect to have a deeper reach into Asia and deeper reach into New Zealand. We're working on that angle, and a larger reach in more regions in the United States. So our target audiences that we'll expect to grow in the next 5 years is the West Coast and deeper into the East Coast.
Best wishes for you.
Thank you.
Uh, what are the strength of Gladius solution?
Our strength really is ability to not be worried about any problem that is thrown our way. We go in, and most companies would say, "Oh no, that's not our wheelhouse. That we don't mess with that. We don't do this." For us, when we walk in, our strength is that we're never gonna give up. We're not gonna say take no for an answer. We're not gonna just say, "Oh no, sorry, we can't do that." That's not in our culture. That's not in our vocabulary. No is not in a positive sense of the word. It's not in our vocabulary, because we will go in, and no matter what the problem is, we're going to figure it out. We're going to solve it.
Wow. What weakness do you have? Do you think that Gladius have?
One of the areas that I think we can be really much better at, and it could be considered a weakness, is how well we can have a deeper reach into certain regions, and we're working through that. For example, in Spanish-speaking world, we currently don't have a lot of people that have those language skills. So we're hiring in that area to alleviate that weakness, but we have a plan in how we alleviate that weakness into the Hispanic world.
Are there any opportunity to see Gladius solution to grow and improve?
Yes, like I mentioned, multilingual world is one. Another one is really just comes to mind. has to do with how we sort of replicate ourselves. So we're, like I mentioned, we're in multiple regions right now, having better systems to replicate faster. So we are replicating that one area, just speeding up the replicating process from one office to next to next.
Thank you so much. And my last question is, what threats do you perceive to Gladius Solutions Execs?
Um, Not really. I mean, you got to be aware of threats. Um, you know what? We will mention threats from a technical perspective. So, in a growing world, AI is going to be a challenge. It's a great advancement in the industry, but being a technology company, um, from a philosophical level, we don't really let we don't lose any sleep over perceived threats. But when it comes to material things like I mentioned AI, so what we've done is we have turned that weakness or that threat into a value. We have in the last 5 years invested heavy in AI, and so what considered a threat because that is a threat to security, that is a threat to humanity in some ways, as Elon Musk would say. We have invested heavy in AI, so we understand. So that what is a threat to the world in one way, we go into a company and we can help with that threat.
Oh, really nice. Thank you so much, Salman. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate the opportunity. See you soon.
Thank you.